Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cinema Savvy and welcome to a review of The Queen's Gambit. Now, isn't this an interesting one? My name is Tayte. I'm joined today with Dave from The Life of Brien. None of the other Cinema Savvy crew are here because they haven't actually seen The Queen's Gambit yet, even though I've been going on about it for the last 2 or so weeks now. How are you doing today?
I'm really good. So, yeah, I'm kind of glad they refused to put the time in. So, yes, you get to hear my dulcet tones instead.
Brilliant. Anyway, before we go into it, we need to go with the socials. So please follow any of our videos that are coming out, our schedule and everything that. Go onto Facebook. You just type in Cinema Savvy, you find us there anyway. Go on to Twitter, it's at cinema_savvy. And go into the description, pick up a t-shirt from TeePublic, which I am wearing today, which is really nice. And also, obviously, please tell us your thoughts on The Queen's Gambit below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe as well so we can reach our sub goals before the end of the year. Now, this is an interesting one because as a channel, we rarely do reviews on TV shows. We have The Mandalorian, of course. Myself, I've done reviews of BoJack Horseman in the past, going through the series with Chris. And this one's an interesting one because this one is a limited time series. We have no idea whether there's going to be another series or not. I know there's been a lot of people online hoping for another series. We did a little bit of research before this. There is no sequel to this book or anything like that. But we should probably just start with our opening impressions. What did we think of before we kind of went into this series?
For me, chess is never something that's even been part of my life at all. Know what the game is, but outside of that, I could tell you the horsey thing goes over there, but bar those symbols, that's not going to get me through any big games. But this was literally, for me, was a last hour before you go to bed. Let's see what's on Netflix. Just kill an hour before we go up. And my wife had said, "Oh, I've heard this is quite good." I was like, "Chess, right? Let's stick it on." And the first hour had me so hooked, like watch another episode before, like watch 2 straight off the belt. Like I couldn't tear myself away from it. But yeah, literally, I had no clue about the series going in, no knowledge about the book, so it was all brand new.
Yeah, so I'd heard murmurings of this series. I don't know where from. It may have been from Empire Magazine or may have just been from word of mouth of there being a kind of chess-based drama. It's going to be starring Anya Taylor-Joy. And it was going to be on Netflix. And that's kind of all I knew going into it. For me, myself, I used to play a lot of chess. I still do play chess sometimes. But I'll be honest, after watching the series, I want to play it a lot more now. I'm going to sound really nerd here. I do know a few openings. I know the Scholar's Mate. It's quite easy. You just have to remember 4 moves and kind of getting around that. But I want to say, as of recording this is popularity #1 on IMDb. This is the most talked about show at the moment of any sort, which is absolutely amazing. Really incredible for kind of a series that was on no one's real kind of radar. It was just kind of murmurings, whispers and stuff like that. And then suddenly this series drops and it's become a worldwide success. So for those who don't know what we're talking about at the moment, so orphaned at age 9. A prodigy introvert, Beth Harmon, discovers the masters of the games of chess and basically wants to become a kind of chess grandmaster. But child stardom comes at a price. And boy, I mean, if you look at the poster, you can immediately tell what kind of a price it comes at. This is a series which I've advertised to people as chess, drugs, alcohol, sex. Like, the only thing you're missing there is violence. But it's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's really powerful and it's really good. The storytelling in it, we meet her as a young child and go through her. I mean, she's not in the first half of this is not life affirming. So you're very like the first 3 episodes. There's nothing where you sit back and go, "What a glorious life this kid's having being a chess master." There's none of that. It's all she's orphaned. It's very much hinted at from the start that her mother tried to kill her. Spoiler alert, that it plays out throughout the series. I mean, we're going to talk about going right through, but she comes out of a car accident. Her mother died in a car accident. You find out that her mother put her in the car because she had no other idea what to do with her. So yeah, there's nothing life affirming about the opening. Her orphanage is not well run, but it's lovely when she has those moments of finding chess, the moments of discovery. But also, obviously, the drugs are a massive part of it with the tranquilizers that the children are given on a daily routine to keep them subdued. Yeah. Fortunately, they have a much different effect on her.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen the series, I would immediately go and recommend going watching it, because we will probably be going straight into spoilers with this one.
Sorry, yeah.
Nah, it's fine. Straight away, we're going to be talking about it, because it's very difficult to talk about this series without really spoiling a lot of things that happen. You can't really spoil the opening 5 minutes of the show where she does become an orphan and she goes to the orphanage, and you can't really spoil the fact that, I mean, it's a show about her quest of becoming a grandmaster. We're not going to really say whether she becomes a grandmaster or not, but there is an end to that as far as the chess is concerned. But this series, it does something which I wouldn't expect a series to do. It makes chess not understandable, but viewable for people who don't watch or play chess, who maybe don't know the rules. And we were talking about this beforehand, where you even said just then you don't really know too much about chess. You have enough knowledge to kind of know where the pieces are on the board, but not the tactics behind it.
Yeah, it's very much it's about the dynamic of what's going on the board rather than the actual move themselves. I mean, it's like watching something like if I was watching an NFL movie, remember the Titans, something like that. You're watching a sports movie that you don't really understand the sport for, but you understand from what's happening on the scene as to what is happening also in the game at the same time. If that makes sense. So you know from that, just watching the board and the move that are made, that dynamic really tells you of the story of what's going on, which I thought was a really good way to play the scenes out.
Honestly, a perfect analogy for a film which I absolutely adore. But what we get from this series is, first of all, a absolute powerhouse performance from Anya Taylor-Joy. I've seen her in other things. I just need to bring her up on IMDb just to kind of check.
New Mutants. I can't believe a girl who's in New Mutants.
I still haven't seen that. I need to watch it because I need another film to add on to my worst films of the year list. We always need to get to 5, and this year's been very difficult. Just from watching Split and The Witch, she's been brilliant in both of those. And I mean, Queen's Gambit herself, absolutely phenomenal performance. For kind of a person who said before filming she didn't really know much about chess and came out of it knowing a lot.
I think her actual quote was she knew little to zero, like literally she knew nothing of the game, which is incredible. So I know they're actors and that's what they're supposed to make you believe, but like watching her, you would never think she didn't know her way around that chessboard.
There are scenes where they are moving the pieces at like a mile a minute. It's absolutely phenomenal, like how fast their hands are moving, how fast their brains, even as actors, are having to work to position the pieces, not only correctly, but make sure, because there are onlooking chess watchers who would immediately go, oh, no, that's a legal move, or oh, no, what are you doing, to get it completely right. And you said that they had 2 chess consultants on this?
Grand world champion Garry Kasparov is probably the biggest name that I knew when I heard it, and he consulted on it. I did have a name of there was another coach as well, but certainly they had 2 people who were looking over this. Garry Kasparov being, say, the big name that I knew, but I think that's why it's working so well as well. Not just because of the drama that entails, not because of just the actors. People who are actual fans of chess are actually tuning in and enjoying that because the gameplay is so precise, and it's not just a board setup in a movie where they move a few, the horsey thing over there and a bishop over there, and then you get that.
It's so high tension, and throughout the different episodes, they have various different ways of filming the chessboard, and it does kind of develop as you go through the episode. So at the start, it's very much kind of, okay, this piece gets placed here. And it's very kind of like almost hand-holding and stuff like that. And you kind of see the entire board and you see the game play out. And then as the series goes on, they switch up the shots and stuff like that by just showing one move at the start of the game and then moving on from it completely. They show not the actual board itself, but the viewer's board. So if you're playing a game of chess, there will be a viewer's board for people who are watching who can't get close to the board so they can see what moves are being made. That being shown only, and it almost being stop motion of the things moving. It's so well done in that way that they're able to kind of mix up the styles of filming and still convey the same subject. It's honestly, this series is masterful in almost everything that it does.
I would never have thought myself to be drawn into a TV show about the 1950s chess scene. Is just not something I would have ever put in front of me and thought, yeah, I'll definitely put that on my watch list. But it's not about the chess to a point. It's about this girl's life, and she plays it so well. It's from the little girl who plays her is actually really good as well, because when you see her older, you
pull up her name here. It's Isla Johnston.
She's very close in look in terms of, because I think Anya Taylor-Joy's got a very unique look to her face, in a fantastic way. But this little kid, actually, you could see if she grew up that she would have that similar look. And I just love that growth of the character. And it's from that moment when she sort of, I suppose, she gets adopted from the orphanage when she's much older than you would hope she'd be when she finally gets out. And it's about then that it becomes a relationship of her new family, mostly her mother or adopted mother that she gets brought up with, and how she almost saves her mother from the life she was in, and not just her getting saved by the mother and taken out the orphanage. And I think that's a really powerful piece of storytelling as well.
I think that is kind of where the heart from the series comes from. There's also the character of Mr. Scheibel, played by Bill Camp, who in the first 2 episodes and then also in kind of the final episode, you see that connection between the two of them and how much it meant to them. Because he's the janitor, he teaches her how to play chess. He teaches her this skill, this thing to aim for in life through very few words indeed. And he doesn't appear to be very kind of affectionate on the screen, but you kind of do find out as the series goes on that indeed he really did care. And with the mother going to Marielle Heller playing Alma Wheatley, fantastic. I really, really enjoyed kind of her bubbly personality of a character watching her through the series. And I mean, this is a very big spoiler alert here. I was really upset when she died. I was really upset.
That is a huge spoiler. Yeah. The moment she didn't turn up, there's a chess game going on. There's a really big game of chess, and the seat remains empty, like you see in many movies, like when the parent doesn't turn up to something. And you just you got that sort of moment, because she's sort of with another guy at that moment, and this relationship blossoming, but it's not that. She goes up to her room and she has died. She hasn't been very well throughout the whole thing. It doesn't tell you of what, but is it tuberculosis? I think, is it TB? I think it's
hepatitis.
Hepatitis, sorry. There we go. So it's just that she's not been well throughout, but it's it's an awful moment where she loses her mother, and it gives her a downward spiral but also makes her so much stronger, because the relationship she then has with her adoptive father is this
phenomenal.
Battle.
It's really it's brutal.
She is the adult over him in every situation they're in, like the house and things like that. And when he comes back and he doesn't want anything to do with her, she is so much more in a place of power, where she was this kid that they took out of an orphanage. It's absolutely, if this does not take Golden Globes and Emmys, I would be absolutely shocked.
I mean, I was kind of really hoping, and I mean, we've hinted on already, that they do make another series of this. I know that sometimes you say don't ruin something that's perfect in its own right, but I would love to see where she goes on from the end of the series. But we'll get into talking about that in a bit. We do have some cameos from some somewhat familiar faces as just kind of guest stars that come in for some of the episodes. The first one I'm going to talk about is Thomas Broding-Sangster, who, if people don't know, the little kid from Love Actually, all grown up. We were debating whether he had a fake mustache on during this or not, because he has that baby face and then a very kind of thin, wispy kind of mustache to go over the top. He plays Benny Watts, who is this kind of almost cowboy chess player who's the chess kind of champion of the USA at the very start, who becomes a very kind of intriguing character and a very intriguing ally to Anya Taylor-Joy's Beth Harmon.
Yeah, he's like the chess poster boy that they have on posters of children, apparently, because he looks 5 still. There's literally no getting away from it. When he walks to the door, it's like, kid from Love Actually, and I can't see him any other way, no matter what he tries to put in his top lip. But I really like the dynamic that they have a game of speed chess at one point, and it's this character building moment between them where he is absolutely he's beating her every time, over and over again. And he's dragged her to New York to try and improve her and move. She's trying to go to Paris, is where she wants to go. But it's just, I thought he plays the part really well. And yes, he's first when he comes in, like, oh, Love Actually, but that went away very quickly. And to be honest, I didn't realize it was the guy from Harry Potter. You'll tell me his name because I can't remember.
Harry Melling.
Dursley.
I'm currently a massive fan of Harry Melling. I've seen him in 3 different things over the last 2 or 3 years now, ranging from, what did we see him in? We saw him in Devon All the Time this year, which he was surprisingly a standout performance. He was only in it for about 40 minutes. seen him as well in Battle of the Buster Scruggs, where he was, I think, in the best story from that film, and he was an absolute standout performance in that. And now in this as well, he is really making a career for himself here. And I mean, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. He's going to win an Oscar or a Golden Globe or an Emmy at some point in his career and some point in his life, which is unbelievable to say after watching Harry Potter and coming from that kind of background. He's completely transformed himself.
Oh yeah, he's not that little pudgy kid anymore who was looking for more presence. That's well and truly behind him. But it's just, yeah, he has this. He plays downtrodden very well. But his character, they have so much growth with the little time they actually spend with them, because obviously Harmon is the main focus, and it's getting through her story about her build to being this chess grandmaster. But the people who enter her life, I mean, there's a moment. I mean, I called just before we went on. There's an Avengers moment where all these people that she's had interactions with throughout her learning in chess and her growth in chess kind of come together to help her, and it works because of the time difference of where she's playing in Russia at the end, and it really works that there's this team behind her. It's such a nice moment to get all these characters come back, and I just thought it was a really wonderful moment. I think the story's so well told, and I just didn't expect that from a Netflix series. You get this all the time. It's a brand new Netflix series, and you kind of, unless it's The Crown, you're like, whatever.
Interestingly enough, and this is something that my parents who are currently watching it through pointed this out to me. The costumes are phenomenal. The set piecing in this is phenomenal. And I don't know if it is the same team, but I know that they did have an online exhibition between the costumes in The Crown and the Queen's Gambit. And I mean, the costume department must have just absolutely loved working on this, because everything that Beth wears, she is the main character, but her changes of costume, she has quite a little character kind of trait about her, is that she quite likes high-end fashion. And as she earns more money from the chess, she goes into kind of that higher and higher kind of ranges. When she goes to Paris, she goes and buys a lot of clothes and stuff like that. And just the costumes that are seen and the settings, the grand hotels they must go to, the casinos that they filmed in for wherever they're doing their chess tournaments are all unbelievably good. Like, so well done.
It's always nice thing for, I think, a lot of these series to have the aesthetics of the 50s. They're so striking and they're so of their time. Like, you know, to have things in the 80s and 90s and sort of noise, and they don't kind of play that same way, because yes, the cars might change a little bit and the dress styles change a little from what people are wearing, but the 1950s and 60s was such a period of time where fashion and the cars and the aesthetics to houses are so one thing. You cannot, once you're in it, you're so into that world. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just something that's so eye-catching. And there's something as well which I want to kind of comment on with the actual filmmaking itself. We've already talked about how they film the chess games, but how they're able to film some of the scenes, the lighting on different people. There's one shot of Beth basically playing chess in the bathtub, and I swear it's only lit by just candlelight, and it's just so beautifully shot. And just the ability to get those shots. There are some areas in the film where they use green screen, especially in Mexico, I think it is, which do kind of stand out as like, oh, that doesn't look as good. But for the rest of the series, it is just so well done and so well shot. And I think my favorite kind of shot, and I was talking to you this once again beforehand, there are a couple of scenes where Beth has this defeated look on her face. She's obviously lost the game, and it's a straight up shot, just a very nice profile shot of her. She lifts up her head. You can see either a tear coming down, or you can just see the complete defeatism in her eyes. And then it does a reverse shot of Mr. Scheibel, her teacher. And the first time round, he says, "You resign now." And he puts the king over on one side. And every time after that, whenever they do that reverse shot, every time afterwards, it is just him reaching for the piece to resign it. And it is so well done. As a person who loves watching films and loves it for those moments alone, that is just, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
I think you're absolutely right. The aesthetics of this are amazing. I mean, there's where they're playing the final chess games, when they're having this big competition in this Russian room, and it's just that most of the room's pitch black. You can barely see a thing, and it looks like it's lit by one light above them, and just.
Sorry, I'm going to interject again. With that scene, I believe I saw a director's comment saying he wanted the scene to look as black and white as possible, like a chessboard.
Oh, really? Wow. It works. There you go. That's in there right now. That's so well done. If that's what they were going for, then yes, they achieve it. It's literally one white light lighting the game they're on, and they're playing on the boards, which are on square tables, which are in a very dark room, and just these little pictures of light. It works so well. It's I just haven't got a bad thing to say about the whole show. I mean, it took me by surprise, but not in the bad way. Like you sometimes go into a Netflix series and you can go, oh, I'll see it through because I've started it. This was one, like you say, binge worthy. This is something that you just had to keep getting through.
So binge worthy. We actually have a few comments coming in now. Carl, Sassanert and Cinema Savvy, I'm good. Excellent. Thank you for tuning in. We also have Claudia in the comments as well. Hi, Claudia. We have a question as well from Carl. Do you have to admire Netflix for funding these projects? Do we admire Netflix funding these projects? I would say yes. I have a little bit of bias here because I'm part of a Netflix series, or I've been filming on Netflix series before, and I enjoy being on their productions. But as far as from a watching standpoint is concerned, the series itself, especially this one, if they're making projects of this high quality, then absolutely. It's so well done. Like,
they seem to have these unlimited pockets at the minute, Netflix, where they are throwing money at shows and getting in great content. I think for a time they didn't have to do it because they were the streamer. That's who everyone was going to. That's where everyone was going. Obviously, with the growth of every other streamer that's now out there taking content away, then yes, they have to now concentrate and say more, right, if we want people to still be subscribing in their millions, we need to put out a series of equal quality. We can't just be putting out the Kissing Booth every year.
Well, I was going to mention that as well, because as far as Netflix are concerned, they keep on making these projects like The Queen's Bandit, like I'd even say The Irishman, which was unbelievably good. But then you've also got to play that off with the fact that shows like Kissing Booth do bring in a lot of viewers. And shows even, I mean, Sex Education, the show that I've been working on and stuff like that, I enjoy it as watching a series, and I genuinely think it's an incredibly good series. When I was going into it, I didn't think it would be that good. I really didn't. And Netflix is in that kind of area where it can make good projects, but sometimes it does go that Kissing Booth route, and sometimes it does go for those kind of lesser so projects just to almost kind of boost the money so they could make these projects. And it's an interesting payoff, but I'm okay with it because you get shows like this.
Don't get me wrong, quite like the first Kissing Booth movie. It's very much an easy watch, guilty pleasure sort of.
Kissing on the Kissing Booth there.
It's fine. I do as well because it's terrible, but it's one of those I can just sit and go, I'll watch it. It's absolute popcorn fodder. It's like I'm a teen girl sometimes at the things I watch. But it's
down for a drink along, Dave, if you wanted to join on.
It has so much premise to have a drinking competition behind it. Honestly, you wouldn't see the end of it. It's pretty awful, but really watch it. But yes, you're right. They put out this fodder. I mean, obviously they've got the Adam Sandler contract as well, so they make his not so great movies that aren't Happy Gilmore anymore. It's just so they have all this and the money behind them. I mean, who knows when Netflix are one day going to go, we've got nothing left in the bank, lads. But if they can make stuff like that, oh yeah, because of the money they throw. But if they can make every now and again something that comes along these lines, long live the streaming fights if they're going to do this. Because honestly, I am still in shock about the quality of a show that I saw.
It's 6 hours 33 long if you want to just gun it. So you can gun it in a day very easily. Oh, yeah. And
I think if you started, you would probably, if you were starting early enough on the day, you wouldn't want to stop either. It's not something you get like 2 episodes in and go, I can go and do something else for a bit. Now it really pushes you to want to know what's coming next all the time.
I mean, I've watched it now through almost twice now, and I'm going to be watching it through probably again as well. I'm going to be telling everyone about it, as many people as I can. Yeah. Is it the best show of the year? Probably. I mean, it's not a high bar to clear so far, to be honest. We'll have our kind of comments reserved for kind of Mandalorian stuff like that. I'm quite enjoying Mandalorian, but I do think they've already had at least one filler episode, maybe even 2 so far this year. But the only competition, I guess, would be for Queen's Gambit, and Queen's Gambit has been just almost untouchable on that fact.
It's phenomenal. I mean, The Mandalorian, I absolutely adore. It's fantastic. And like you were saying actually earlier about the green screen, the quicker the Netflix can build themselves a volume, or other production studios can build themselves a volume and basically eradicate the need for full green screens, all the better. Because, I mean, if anyone's watched The Mandalorian, and I know people who are watching the channel now will have, the work that they've put in to now have this that could go out, and it's LCD screens. It's not, they said it's not unaffordable like technology. It's available for people to do. It could make such a difference to some of these shows as well. It's just, it's an incredible
I don't think, here's
technology.
the thing though, I think the only area which I don't like the Queen's Gambit in was those kind of green screen moments, but honestly, like, it didn't need it. It really didn't.
Oh, no.
Like, it's a background shot of Mexico and it's a background shot of Russia, and that's kind of all there was. Everything else seemed like it was shot on location. So you didn't really, just for 2 shots in the entire series, you don't need that, especially when you had the camera work that was working with it. Another shot that I want to talk about, when they go into one of the casinos for the first time, I think it's the Las Vegas Open, or maybe the Mexico Open, where the camera goes up, it scans around, you just get to take in all of the Art Deco-ness of the situation, and then it zooms back in onto Beth, who's walking in, and it's just so well done. It's just, I could go over this kind of series for so long.
No, I mean, it is planned to a T, which you don't think some series that you see now are. I think a lot of them are kind of, right, we've got this, we've got our story, and let's just get it out. It's going to be streaming. And I think sometimes that can ultimately take away from what they're putting on, because it's going to be a streaming series. It's not going to one of the big channels, which eventually, I think, to be honest, you probably will find this might move eventually, where it will be picked up by somebody else other than Netflix to show.
I can see it as BBC kind of showing it or something like that.
Oh, like a Sunday night, BBC One, you know, like they used to get those old, like they used to do on a set, like they had the they're doing the with HBO about the kid and the polar bear, and I can't remember its name, the Golden Compass.
Yeah, His Dark Materials. That's a fantastic.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So like that kind of space, maybe a bit later because it's not for children, certainly. But yeah, for that kind of show, I think it would be perfect for a pickup to let more people see it as well, because not everyone has Netflix. Not everyone has the ability to be able to have.
People are talking about it. Like I said at the start, it's #1 on IMDb, most talked about show or film at the moment. It's
crazy that people who would never be interested would be picking up and talking about chess, and I think that's an incredible. That's the tell from the show for me, that people are going, you know what, have you seen that about the chess? Yeah, and that's not something that you would ever have thought to happen at all.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic series. Do you have any closing or final thoughts before we go into it? So we do have another comment here from Claudia saying, and the Cold War period is so interesting. They dip into it just a little bit kind of in the final few episodes, but when they do a kind of a really nice job of it.
You get that overlying feeling of what's going on. Again, it's the story dynamic told through a chessboard of the games they're playing. You even get that sense of what's going on in that Cold War effort as well, behind the scenes, where they're all plotting to try and get over Beth Harmon in the game she's playing. It's so well done. The Russian guys you think they're conspiring against her. But they are trying to find out.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I didn't pick up on it the first time watching, but the second time watching, I think it's in episode 3 or 4, when Beth is talking to Thomas Broding-Sangster. Thomas Broding-Sangster, sorry. He does mention, like, the Americans are very kind of lone wolves, and the Russians talk in teams whenever they have a break about their kind of moves and what moves should go next. So that paying off later on in the series and like the final episode was really cool to see on a second time round, because I completely missed that just throwaway line. It's a complete throwaway line. It's barely mentioned about. And yet that's exactly what happens. And that almost puts kind of the effect in of, okay, we need a team in the background running at the same time to kind of win the game. It's just, I mean, like I said, I could talk about this series for hours. It's reignited my love of chess, and I'm sure that it's inspired a lot of people at home to kind of understand the rules a bit more so they can go back and watch the series again. But my final thoughts is it's the best show of the year at the moment. Don't know if there's going to be a show that comes in over the top of it, but I expect it to be doing huge things at the awards.
Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly, my friend. It's done so well. It is not something you are going to just watch one episode and want to go away from. It is, like we said, it's a binge-worthy series, and it is probably the best made thing I have seen on Netflix in a long time. except the kissing booth. No, it really isn't. So yeah, absolutely, you should go. Everyone should see this series. It's 6 hours of your life you won't be regretting that you've taken for it. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Brilliant, excellent. Okay, so that was our review of The Queen's Gambit. Please comment, tell us your thoughts on the show, tell us what you thought about it, if you love it as much as we do. Don't forget to like the video, share the video if you can as well, and subscribe. We are getting close to that 2K point, and we want to get there by the end of the year, so please go and do that. Also, some announcement news. I'm not sure if it's been announced on a previous video. I haven't been on, maybe the Rocky review or something like that, but we will be doing a Lego Star Wars holiday special watch-along Wednesday, 18th of November at 10 p.m. GMT, so British time. So please tune in for that if you would like to. And if you want to find out about other videos that are coming on, please go on to Facebook. That is Cinema Savvy. Just type it in. Link should be in the description. Go on to Twitter at cinema_savvy, and go on to TeePublic to pick up a Cinema Savvy t-shirt if you would like to. And just before we go, to close us out, Dave, would you like to talk about your channel?
Yeah, I am a builder of many models on YouTube, Partwork Builds, the Millennium Falcon, that's just behind me, the big Lego one. So yeah, if you want to come over, you can come check me out at The Life of Brien over on YouTube.
Awesome. Thank you to everyone who has shown up in the comments today as well. It was really lovely having a discussion with you guys as well, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.